want to be safe. We all want to be warm. We all want to feel loved. Know the comfort of home.
So true. So true. Well, we're back. This is True Common Ground.
Yep.
My name is Joe.
I'm Chuck.
And today we're going to talk about something that's incredibly important, but also something that is really, and we had planned to talk about this over a couple of weeks ago, and then this happened. If you've been listening to the news, you know about a young woman, 31 years old, by the name of Kate Cox, and she has 2 children. She'd like to have more children, and as a matter of fact, she's pregnant with her 3rd child right now. But sadly, that fetus, it's at about 20 weeks, has a fatal genetic condition called trisomy 15. It's a syndrome, it's very tragic. And what it basically means is the baby will not survive for more than a few minutes after it's born, if it goes to full term, and it may not do that either. The other thing that occurs with this is it puts the mother's life at really high threat. And even if the mother is able to survive, she probably will not be able to have a child after this very sad and tragic incident. Both her and the baby will die, and she can be irrevocably damaged, or she could also die. So we have this situation, and of course, a district court judge in Texas heard her plea, because in Texas, that's where she lives, women are not allowed to determine whether or not they will abort a fetus, even under this circumstance. So the judge heard it, and he said, or she said rather, well, this would be a terrible miscarriage of justice if we prevented her from having children after this because of this, and it would also be pretty cruel to the fetus to let it go to full term and just suffer and die. So
they literally said that if the fetus survived birth, she would then watch it suffocate. It would not be able to function well. Its organs were damaged, and it would die. It would just die in her arms. Completely
horrific situation. So the district court ruled that she could have the abortion, and then this gentleman came into the picture, Texas's Attorney General Ken Paxton. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you a little bit about Ken Paxton. He was impeached by his own state legislature, but his job was preserved because Donald Trump got involved and said, no, we need this guy. He's my kind of a guy. He has no ethics. He's an animal, and so we need to keep him because he believes that my election was stolen, and he'll stand up for that. So he's still in the state legislature, or he's still in the state as an attorney general, but he's under indictment right now. He's literally under indictment for his criminal acts, even though he was impeached but not kicked out. And this is what he decided to do. He came into this situation and he said, no, you're not going to have that abortion. You're going to go to full term with this child that's definitely going to die. It may destroy your ability to have other children, might kill you. That's okay. I don't care. You're going to go to full term. And doctors, if you help her or assist her in any way, I will see to it that you lose your license and you spend the rest of your lives in jail.
Literally threatening a life sentence for participating and assisting her in her own medical health care.
Right. This is the country we live in right now, folks, and that's the state of Texas. It gets even worse. He then says to her husband, if you assist your wife in any way, I will put you in jail.
So in other words, if her husband assists her leaving the state, say crossing the border and going over to New Mexico, where they have more progressive laws around abortion, and she could get an abortion there. If her husband helps her get there, he is now part and parcel an individual that can be arrested.
Absolutely.
And imprisoned, along with the doctor, if the doctor was in Texas. So it takes it steps further.
This is all part of the vigilante law in Texas.
If the cab driver that she hires to bring her across the border into another place is actually known, if they track down who that is, that person could also be threatened with,
and the person who turns the
liability.
cab driver in, or
Yep.
her husband in, or the
Yep.
doctor in, they get $10,000.
Yep, it's a bounty.
Okay.
It's a bounty hunting
Yeah.
situation. Yep.
Pretty sickening, isn't it? And this is a situation that exists right now in Texas. I mean, this is the way life is. So what's happening in Texas? The number of babies that are born in Texas is dropping. The number of women that are moving to Texas is dropping. The number of women and families that are moving out of Texas is increasing.
It's increasing.
And because this is this is an area that is not hospitable and not it's not a healthy place. It's not an environment where women should live.
Now the update on Kate Cox is she has left the state, and there is her lawyer is not admitting to anything as to where she's gone and what she's doing, which means that her lawyer now will also be liable for participating in the illegal removal of a dysfunctional, abnormal development growth in Katie's body. This is where we're going with this. This is so we're all clear about this. This is where we're going with this. Wow.
It's really outrageous. I mean, it's disgusting is what it is. It's,
That old white men who have no medical background have this kind of authority over women, over their bodies, is
I mean,
draconian. It's ridiculous.
Let this sink in for a second, okay? You're married. This is your wife. Your wife, okay? And you're told by an attorney general in the state, if you do anything to assist your wife, to help her to stay alive, to do the right thing, I'm going to put you in prison. Well, thank God her husband, after the Supreme Court of Texas agreed with the attorney general.
Now, let me just go a little bit down that road. The Supreme Court actually said that the lower court didn't have a right to make a decision about this because this should not be left up to legality. This should be left up to individuals who are experts on the situation. So that would throw it back to the doctor, who would then advise that she should get this abortion in order to survive. And yet, this is in direct contradiction to their own state-mandated law that says they do have the right. So the Texas Supreme Court basically tried to back out of it and say, well, we can't really do anything about it because we really shouldn't be making this decision on her behalf, even though they've already made the decision on her behalf.
Yep.
That's where this has gone.
Yeah.
They're all cowards. They're all bullies and cowards.
That's exactly what they are. And I mean, look, folks, this is as clear as it gets. Here, this is the question in this next election, okay? They're not going to be decent about this. You're a woman, and that's your problem. And you'll do as we tell you to do. And you'll carry these tragic pregnancies to full term because we told you to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, we'll punish you. That's the country that you're about to live in. All right.
Well,
and
I would say we're already living there. I would, what I want to talk about a little bit
right.
is the politics of abortion, and that's because we have young people now who grew up in a world where Roe v. Wade was the standard, and that has changed, and it is continually changing. No one is going to be satisfied with a handful of states, 17 states right now. No one's going to be satisfied with that. It's going to continue to change, and the projection is that access to abortion will become illegally nationalized. It literally will become something you can no longer have. I want to look back just a little bit. This is a book from the mid-1980s. This is Kristen Luker's book, Abortion and the Politics of Motherhood. And phenomenal writer. She's an educator. She's from the University of California Press is where this book comes from. She is a associate professor of sociology out in California. Important book. And I read this first around mid-80s, maybe 85, 86 or so. What's interesting about this book is it talks about this really important subject entirely being taken over by politics from about 1980 on. It was slipping into it in the 70s, but about 1980 on. It's important to know that because that means it's men primarily calling the shots on what a woman can do or not do with her body. So for our young listeners, I want to look back just a little bit for a moment to 1970, to this publication, Our Bodies, Ourselves. This was publicized, as you can see, it was an underground publication. Remember, 1970 is pre-Roe v. Wade. So this was put out in 1970 by the Boston Women's Health Course Collective. This was essentially a book that was developed around workshops and classes, Our Bodies, Ourselves, and it literally was a handbook to help teach women about their bodies, because up to that point, 90% of the gynecologists in the country were all male, and they were not working in relationship with women as to what was going on with their bodies. They weren't leveling with them about this because their perspective was entirely misogynistic. Let's just be honest about it, what it was. So this moved us, books like this, publications like this, moved us toward what became Roe v. Wade by, 1973. I bought this for, look, you can see 35 cents. Where is the camera? Right there. 35 cents back in the early 70s.
Wow.
At a place called Ohm. It was a head shop in Nanuet.
You can't buy anything for 35 cents anymore.
No, but you could get some good stuff at
You can't buy
Ohm.
35 cents for 35 cents.
No, you can't. And this was a great thing to have. Now, my question to you is, now that Roe v. Wade is going out and we are returning to a time when publications like this became the vehicle for people to communicate, what will we have? What will we have where young women can learn about how to take care of their own bodies, about their health care, about the indications that something is going on, or where they can learn about something as simple as birth control? This was taught in their course, in the collective's course. What do we have? We have social media, because we don't have underground publications like this. And social media is, I know we're on social media right now, but it is not vetted the same way this Women's Health Collective out of Boston vet their articles and stories that were here. So what I'm advocating is that we need to build a greater network of communication, doing stuff like what we're doing right now, but also just in terms of publication, so we can share this information. And we need to hear from the people who are asking the real questions for their own self-education. Because, damn it, what's going on in Texas, what's going on under the authority of the former president, and God forbid that one comes back, what will continue to go on under the authority of the Speaker of the House, who is a very dangerous person.
A religious zealot.
This is taking away a woman's right to their own health care. And that means undereducating people. And Lord knows I'm a teacher, and we can talk about this in another episode, but we are rapidly losing access to a kind of participatory, interdisciplinary education that is so vital to a citizenry that can actually engage and be empowered, as opposed to being submissive to the cult of personality.
You know, folks, we shouldn't even be having this conversation right now, and you know that. This is not our place. This decision, the primary person, the person who makes the final decision, should obviously be Ms. Cox. Okay? That's the final person. If she wishes to bring her doctor into the decision-making process, that is her choice as well. And certainly, I'm sure she has already brought her husband into the discussion as well. This is her decision. This is her body. This is her life. And anyone who jeopardizes that is not interested in a woman's sovereignty or freedom or sovereignty over her own body. And that's what this next election is all about. The folks in Kansas figured that out, and hopefully the folks in Texas will figure that out right now. This next election is about two things. You either vote for a democracy where people are not intruded upon in this way, where politicians don't walk into your bedroom and make decisions about how you will behave and who you are and what you will do, or you're voting for a dictatorship. And so help me God, if Donald Trump becomes president again, you will be living, and your children, your daughters, your sisters, they will be living in a dictatorship.
So instead of teaching sustainability at Ramapo College, which is one of the schools I work at, I'll just change the name of the course to survival. And we will be learning how to live below the radar. If
There's
that's
no
the
question.
country that we want, that's where we'll be going. Yeah.
There's no question about it. So we
Wrap
would
it up?
leave you this week, I think,
it up.
with something really. This is an existential urgency right now. It's an emergency, and what just happened in Texas couldn't be more poignant in that direction. You can Google it. You can turn on basically any news show right now, and you can hear about what we've been speaking about this morning. This is an outrage. This is wrong on every single level. This woman wants to have more children, by the way. Mm-hmm. She would like to have more children.
But if she's forced to go through this process, in all likelihood, she will not be able to have more children.
And that is absolutely, it is truly a miscarriage of justice. It's hateful, too. And if you look at Ken Paxton, you realize it's about the cruelty, okay? It's about power. It's about, I have power over you. You will do as I tell you to do. That's what it's about, okay? If you check up and you Google and you look into the background, and I don't even want to talk about it, but you look into the background of this guy, you'll find out who's calling the shots in Texas. And those are the kinds of people that are going to be calling the shots in your states and across this country unless you get out the vote.
Yep.
You get out the vote in November of 24, and you start stepping up and really talking about the clear and present danger of a second Trump administration. Thanks for listening today.
Until then,
We'll see you next week.
see you again. Nope.
There we are.
We all want to be safe.
Are we still recording?
We
you and
all
I?
want to be warm. We all want to feel loved. Know the comfort of home. Want our children to grow. Learn to make their own sound. Seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground. We all walk on common ground.
We all wanna be strong, fully free and alive. Take just enough chances, stand up tall and with pride. Yes, we all wanna play, have good friends all around. It seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground.
We all walk on common ground. Some conversations aren't easy, and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around. But if we realize and seek to compromise,
we sleep under one moon, lift our face to one sun, feel the wetness of rain, seek shelter, everyone. Yearn for rest when we're weary, seek solace when we're down. It seems to me we all walk on common ground.
Some conversations aren't easy,
and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around.
but if we realize and seek to compromise, we can meet on common ground. Common ground. We all walk on common ground. one foot forward. We all walk on common ground.